In this forecast, a multi-day severe weather outbreak will bring widespread and potentially significant severe thunderstorms to the Central Plains, Midwest, and Ohio River Valley. This will carry with it the potential for massive hail, tornadoes, and damaging wind gusts. Everything you need to know on Project Gladiator. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Project Gladiator Weekly Overlook, and today I'll be covering the weather for the week of March 31st until around April 7th. I hope everyone is having an amazing week so far, and I hope everyone had an amazing Easter today. So let's start off with our Jetstream pattern and generally where we are expected to see the risk for severe thunderstorms and how. The main risks for severe thunderstorms that we are expected to see is going to be on April 1st and April 2nd. So those are going to be the main days we are going to be focusing on in today's forecast. So for April 1st, we are expected to see a pretty deep low pressure system that's going to set into the southwest there across southern California and Arizona and southern Nevada, and this will affect a pretty powerful shortwave trough, which is like a mini engine in the much larger engine to support the risk for severe thunderstorms across the Central Plains in the Midwest on the April 1st. And this will probably primarily be more of a hail risk and a damaging wind risk, with definitely still the potential for tornadoes. However, we are definitely going to see much larger risk for tornadoes on April 2nd, which I will get into. We are expected to see a pretty strong shortwave with mid-level flow that may be able to get upwards of 100 miles per hour, 120 miles per hour to potentially 80 and 90 miles per hour at 500 millibars, which is definitely quite strong and will definitely support the risk for severe thunderstorms across this region. And then as that moves into April 2nd, we are expected to see that shortwave kind of push off here, but we're going to see a very strong jet out of the southwest here. It's not going to be as strong as that shortwave is going to not really be all that apparent. However, this will definitely still support the risk for severe thunderstorms that may potentially be significant, that may be able to get upwards of 100 to potentially 80 and 70 miles per hour. Very strong mid-level flow across this region is definitely going to be able to support the risk for not only tornadoes but also the potential for massive hail and damaging wind gusts. And then for the rest of the week, as we move into the 3rd, we are going to see a pretty powerful cold front associated with this low pressure system out of Canada here. This will make temperatures significantly chillier across this region, across the eastern half of the United States. And then as we move into the 4th, we're going to see some pretty broad and pretty strong advection at 500 millibars out of the north, and that's going to lead to the potential potentially some lake effect snow up across this region. And as we move into the 6th, we are expected to see another trough that is going to begin to position itself across the Central Plains and the Rockies there, and that's going to advect out into the Central Plains on the 7th into Sunday. So we may have to watch for the potential of severe thunderstorms on the 7th as well. However, I do think we may have overall a better risk for severe thunderstorms on the 8th, but we will have to watch for the potential of severe thunderstorms with this pretty powerful trough that's going to make its way out of the Rockies towards Sunday. Taking a look at our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be going over the when and where we should be able to see our snowfall, our rainfall, as well as the potential for severe thunderstorms mainly across this region. So again, the biggest days for the risk for severe thunderstorms are going to be on the 1st, and that's going to be associated with a dry line and a warm front, and the surface level is going to be around here, the dry line that drapes across the Central Plains, and a warm front that pushes up across Missouri into Illinois. I do think that we may have a better chance for tornadoes probably around here, and then we may also be able to see the potential for some heavy snowfall in some portions of the northern Central Plains, like northern Nebraska and southern South Dakota, as well as southern Minnesota and central Wisconsin on the northern end of that low pressure system on April 1st. And then into the 2nd, we're going to see that system continue to progress to the east, and we're going to also see snowfall continue to progress to the east into the upper peninsula of Michigan, northern Michigan, and the rest of Wisconsin. And we're going to see the potential for severe thunderstorms on the 2nd across the majority of this region. And then as we move into the 3rd, we're going to see the potential for heavy snowfall really ramp up as this system moves out into the Atlantic plains and the eastern seaboard and push out into the Atlantic Ocean sometime between the 3rd and the 4th. But we will see a lot of heavy snowfall on the northern end of that low pressure system across the New England corridor and the Ohio River Valley and back into the Midwest. So we could definitely see some heavy snowfall back into Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, Michigan, up into Canada, as well as the New England corridor for Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and New York for the later half of this week. And that's going to continue to progress into the 5th, where it will slowly transition into more of a risk for lake effect snow across this region. And then as we move into the 6th, we may still see some lingering snowfall, but it should be clearing out. And then on the 7th and the 8th, again, we will be watching for the potential of severe thunderstorms. Taking a look at our temperatures, before we get into the deep nitty gritty of things, I'm going to go over how our temperatures are going to change throughout the week. So starting off with April 1st as a good baseline for the start of the week, we definitely have quite a lot of heat across the southern half of the United States, up into the Ohio River Valley and the Central Plains, which will definitely support the risk for severe thunderstorms. We should definitely see quite a lot of instability associated with that, and that's what's going to allow for the risk for severe thunderstorms. It is going to cool down quite a lot into the second half of the week after that cold front moves through, and we see a lot of cold air advection out of the north here, which is going to make things significantly colder. We may be able to see a return of temperatures that may be able to get below freezing for a lot of the northern half of the United States, and may even be able to extend down into portions of Kentucky, Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee. So again, we could definitely see the potential of some much colder temperatures in the later half of this week. It is going to begin to warm up, but it still may stay pretty chilly across some portions, like mainly the New England corridor here. However, we should definitely see a massive resurgence of heat across a lot of the United States, with temperatures that are going to potentially return back into the 80s by the end of next week. So we're definitely going to have a roller coaster of temperatures this week. Diving into the deep nitty-gritty of things, starting off with our instability, or in other words, our fuel for severe thunderstorms, we're going to take a look at how that's going to affect our risk for severe thunderstorms for the 1st and for the 2nd primarily. We are definitely expected to see quite a lot of instability across a lot of the region of concern, which will definitely be able to fuel potentially significant severe thunderstorms, especially with the upper level air pattern that we have across this region. Again, we could definitely see the potential for significant severe thunderstorms with this, and then that's going to continue to progress eastward, where we may not have too much instability, especially compared to yesterday. However, our instability should definitely be fine nonetheless. We are definitely still going to see sufficient instability for the potential of significant severe thunderstorms on the 2nd. Taking a look at our supercell composites, what this does is it combines every parameter in the atmosphere to give us a general rough idea of what the risk for severe thunderstorms may look like across the United States. Keep in mind that it doesn't give us a percentage, but it is definitely a really good helper when determining the probability of severe thunderstorms. As I mentioned previously, we definitely have a pretty good hotspot for the potential of severe thunderstorms across Missouri, where we are definitely watching for the potential of significant severe thunderstorms there as well. But we should also see very widespread severe thunderstorms because our supercell composites are spanning all the way from Virginia across Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Louisiana, across Texas, across Oklahoma and Kansas. We definitely have a really good risk for some pretty widespread severe thunderstorms, some of which could potentially be significant. The main region where we are watching for the potential of significant severe thunderstorms is going to be across this region. So overall, in that area, I do think we have a pretty good risk for some pretty significant severe thunderstorms. And then moving on to Tuesday, again, we definitely still have the potential of severe thunderstorms across a very large portion of the eastern half of the United States. We could still see the potential of severe thunderstorms that may extend across portions of Kentucky, Indiana, and Ohio, but we could also see the additional risk for severe thunderstorms that may extend down into Tennessee and potentially even into Mississippi and Alabama. And we may have to watch for the potential of some more isolated severe thunderstorms along the warm front for Virginia and North Carolina. So again, we could definitely see some widespread severe thunderstorms not only on Monday but on Tuesday as well for a very large portion of the United States, and again, some of which could potentially be significant. Taking a look at our energy helicity index values, What this does is it combines our instability or our fuel for severe thunderstorms and our directional shear to see how they overlap, how strong they overlap, and overall gives us a general idea of what the risk for tornadoes may look like. And let me tell you, it's looking quite wild. Name 3 kilometer, which is the model I am using, is a convective allowing model, and I do like them for our energy density index values, because they are overall a little bit more reliable than our low resolution GFS model, which I was using previously. However, our name 3 kilometer does tend to exaggerate things just a tad. It is becoming more in line with our best model, which is our high resolution rapid refresh model, or HRRR. So across Oklahoma, our name 3 kilometer models are going absolutely wild. A lot of models are tending to indicate that we may have overall an uptick in shear compared to what they were indicating earlier, and a massive uptick in instability. And when those two overlap, we get the potential for tornadoes. And let me tell you again, we definitely have some pretty wild energy density index values for Oklahoma. I'm not really too sure how that will actually verify, if that will actually be all that plausible, because a lot of models previously were indicating a much lower amount of storm relative helicity or directional shear across that region. However, I think our best risk for tornadoes seems to be around here, where we will have overall better directional shear, and I think overall a better risk for the potential of tornadoes. However, our tornado risk is expected to be much better as we move into Tuesday. We are expected to see a much stronger low-level jet and much organized low-level jet, which will support overall a much better risk for tornadoes across the eastern half of the United States. And I think the best risk for tornadoes across the eastern United States is probably going to be around this region. Taking a look at what the Storm Prediction Center has issued for the potential of severe thunderstorms across the U.S. this week, starting off with our Day 2 outlook, which is April 1st. I am recording this on March 31st. We do have an enhanced risk, which does span the main region of concern from southern Indiana down into Oklahoma there, across southern Missouri, and into parts of Kansas there. But our marginal threat is absolutely massive. It expands all the way from North Carolina, Virginia, all the way to southern Texas and into the Texas Panhandle, and all the way north into northern portions of Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. We definitely have a pretty widespread risk for the potential of severe thunderstorms, and the risk is going to be greatest across that enhanced risk area. As of right now, we do have a 5% tornado risk. It was downgraded from a 10% tornado risk with the hatched area, which would indicate the potential for significant tornadoes. However, I do have a feeling that it may potentially be added back again, mainly around this area, potentially by tomorrow. And potentially, if models want to agree with each other, and if shear can get high enough, maybe one that extends down across Oklahoma as well. But overall, the confidence for tornadoes does seem most probable across Missouri. And then for our wind and hail risk, our hail risk is definitely going to be the biggest thing. This may potentially be increased to a 45%, which would indicate a moderate risk for severe thunderstorms. So again, we definitely have a quite remarkable risk for massive hail across this region. I didn't really mention it too much in this forecast because I was mainly focused on tornadoes. However, we cannot overlook the hail risk. The hail risk is going to be quite big, and it may be upgraded to a 45% by tomorrow, and that hashed area does indicate the potential for very large hail. And then for our damaging wind risk, we do have a 30%. I don't really see this being increased, but we could definitely see the potential for some widespread damaging wind gusts. And then for our Day 3 outlook, which is on Tuesday, as of right now, we do have an enhanced risk region for the areas that I were indicating that may have the greatest risk for severe thunderstorms across southern Ohio, West Virginia, and central and northern Kentucky, with a slight risk that extends down across Tennessee and Mississippi and Alabama, with a pretty large marginal risk extending down into the Gulf Coast. And this is our Day 3 outlook, so we don't have our individual risks, but it does have a probabilistic combined risk of a 30% for that enhanced risk area. And then taking a look at our Day 4 to Day 8 outlooks, This is kind of hard to get a risk issued across this board because models have to agree with each other, and the SPC has to be confident on a risk for severe thunderstorms. But it does indicate that we may have the potential for severe thunderstorms on our day 4 and our day 7 and day 8 outlooks. So we may be watching for the potential of some severe thunderstorms upcoming. However, the SPC doesn't have much confidence for it. Taking a look at our total snowfall, we're going to be moving on to the potential for heavy snowfall across the U.S. this week. I'm going to take a look at how much snowfall we are expected to have total by the 7th. Keep in mind that we are using GFS, so it does tend to exaggerate things quite wildly. Like, I highly doubt we're going to see upwards of 40 inches of snowfall across New York. So in your imagination, tone this down wildly. We may not even see snow for portions of southern Ohio down into Kentucky or across the Appalachians, but we could definitely see some snowfall for some pretty widespread areas, mainly across the New England corridor, where we could see a snowfall that is probably going to be around anywhere from 4 to maybe 8 inches, and then some heavy snowfall for the Midwest back into the northern central plains with that first round that's going to impact. But I highly doubt we're going to see anywhere close to 12 to 20 inches across this region. We're probably not going to get more than a foot, but we could definitely see some pretty heavy snowfall for these regions. And then finally, taking a look at our WPC outlooks in the risk for heavy snowfall greater than 4 inches across the U.S. this week. Let's start off with today. And as of right now, as of the time I am recording this, we do have a high risk for some heavy snowfall for portions of the northern central plains there associated with that first round. And then that's going to progress into the New England corridor in the Midwest across Michigan by the 3rd and the 4th. And then from here on out, we're going to see continued lake effect snow across the New England corridor, which may continue to add to those heavy snowfall totals. However, the risk for heavy snowfall isn't going to be as prominent as a risk for severe thunderstorms. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator and join the Discord for any updates on Project Gladiator. If you live in any of the areas I covered for this week, please stay weather alert for the time being. If you notice anything might have been wrong in this forecast or would like to make a suggestion or ask a question, please leave a comment. 3 other channels I highly suggest you check out are JaxonWX. He will be storm chasing on April 1st, and I will be partnering with him on a live stream for April 1st, so make sure you tune into that if you are interested. Another channel I recommend is One Nation Weather. He does amazing forecast videos for the entire U.S. That are significantly more digestible than mine for the average viewer. And his link, the link to his channel will be in the description. And then another channel that I suggest is Weather Watcher, and he makes a pretty good forecast for not only the entire United States, but also Europe as well, if you are interested in that. And hopefully I'll be able to see you guys on the live streams.